I'm Andy Shauf. We're on WNXP, and we're going to play some songs.
What happens when they die? Maybe eternal life, but only if they find me here. Maybe I'll send you down, give them a clue, but then they'll kill you, and I will ask them, was all my love wasted on you? Was all my love wasted on you? What if they never hear about you at all? Or what if they ignore you? Would their fate be the same? Well, yeah, I guess. But first they face me, and I would ask them, was all my love wasted on you? 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 Halloween is just around the corner. I was thinking today, sat around getting high all afternoon, wondering what I should wear. Eventually I picked myself up, put on my shoes and walked out the door. I had one destination in mind, and that destination was the Halloween store. I started my car, and as I did, I wondered if I locked the house. Walked back and found that I hadn't, but now my keys were in the car. Walked to the car, pulled the handle, and it snapped back. At least I'd locked one door. Reached my hand through the open window, pulled the lock, forgot about the house and drove to the Halloween store. I pulled into the lot and parked next to a blue car like yours. Looked in my rear view mirror, imagining meeting you in an aisle. I said, hi, I'm Norm, I think we've maybe met once before. And as my fog cleared, I realized that you were sitting in your car, smiling at me at the Halloween store. Oh boy, Norm lays on his side with heavy eyelids, and the price is right. Breathes inward and drifts on out, losing the edges, winning the prizes. And when the television's silent, I speak into his dream. Stop these wicked ways, and I will lead you to the promised land. Oh boy, Norm on his side, clutching the sofa, eyes open wide. Is someone in here? He asks out loud. Sits up straight, turns the TV down, and looking all around him, he hears it once again. Stop these wicked ways, and I will lead you to the promised land.
Hi, this is Emily Young, live from our Sonic Cathedral. I am joined by one Andy Shauf. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm good.
We truly enjoyed this set. It's really kind of mind-blowing how beautiful that sounds all the time, but especially in this room. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You just released your new record, Norm, like a couple weeks ago. We're absolutely loving it. And I made a comment to my boss earlier that you're very much a musician's musician. Like all of my favorite artists talk about how much they love you. And I think that that's so interesting. And I think a lot of it has to do with your musical arrangements. It's complex, it's interesting, it's unlike anything anyone is doing. This record is much like that. However, this new album is pretty synth heavy. Mm-hmm. So I was curious what you may have been listening to or what inspired that for this new record.
The synth part of it kind of just came from, I had like a gear trial thing with, they loaned me a synthesizer and I had like a month to figure out how to use it. So I ended up writing songs using that for melodies and stuff. So that kind of came from that, but I was also listening to like vaporwave music at the time, which is like a lot of slowed down things and really heavy reverbs and synths, I guess, as well. So it kind of, yeah, it was a little bit of those things.
And it stuck.
It stuck. Well, it was just, what I liked about that music was that it really transported you to somewhere else. And it wasn't like, in the past, I've done a lot of trying to get my records to transport to like maybe a different era or something. And this just felt like transporting to a different world because it was like, the pitch wasn't the same and the reverbs were so long, you feel like you're in, I don't know, it's like Alien or something. So I was kind of trying for that a little bit.
I also read that you were trying to not write a concept record. This was going to be like a normal record. Norm was normal. At what point did you realize, oh, I'm doing it again? We're here. We're doing it again.
Well, there's a song on the record called Telephone, and it was kind of maybe the first one that I used the synth on, and I wrote the melody with the synthesizer. And that song is about someone like longing to be on the telephone talking to someone. And then in the second verse, it shifts so that you see the perspective being someone who's calling on the telephone, but they're looking through a window, like watching the person answer. And I thought that could be a character, and the character could be Norm. And I kept writing songs that were sort of unrelated, but I would keep going back to this idea of a character of Norm and him being a creep.
Yeah, that's actually perfect segue into my next one, because at surface level, these songs sound kind of sweet. Like upon first listen, you're like, oh, that's just pretty and nice. And the more you listen, you're like, oh, this is kind of creepy. Mm-hmm. Was there anything aside, I mean, you talked about this song, but was there any other inspiration for this character?
That song, and I think just like a general true crime drama. I'm not watching like CSI, but like, you know, Forensic Files, I'll put that on repeat and just watch it all day. So that kind of thing, and I'm always drawn to darker stories.
It's funny, Forensic Files specifically, I don't know any touring artist that doesn't just like have that playing in the background of their hotel room at all times. It's always on TV, like 24/7.
It's amazing.
With most artists, we ask about producers and musical collaborators, but you have kind of a unique situation in that you have a story editor, which I find extremely fascinating. Can you tell us a bit about how they work into your creative process?
Yeah, this record I did differently, where my past concept records, I've kind of written them, well, the one specifically I wrote kind of start to finish, figuring out what was happening as I went along. And I didn't leave a lot of space in the narrative, so it was pretty easy to understand what was happening. This one there is more space in the story, and it's not as tied together or direct. And so when I got to the end of writing the lyrics for it, I had like a big Google Doc just all the way through the story, and I realized that a lot of the story happens in the spaces between the words and in my head. And I needed to figure out if it actually translated at all to someone who would just be a listener or a reader. And so I texted my friend Nick, who's a really good writer, Nick Olson, and he was willing to try to figure out the story. So I just emailed him the doc, and he read through it, and he sent me back what he thought was happening in it. And I was like, okay, there's a few areas that need work, and I sent them back, and he interpreted again, and it was like 3 or 4 times going back and forth till he picked up what I was trying to put down.
I think it translates well at this point. Norm's a creep.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me, full circle, and I think we have mostly the answer. So the story comes first, musical arrangement second. Is that kind of how you're working it?
Well, on this one, the music came first, and I was trying to keep the songs kind of unrelated, other than that, the creeper narrative kind of started creeping in. But
that was good. That was good.
Thank you. But yeah, when I got to the end of having that batch of songs, I realized that I could tie them all together if I just shifted details. So I just went through song by song, changing them like a line at a time until it worked, which I'd always kind of been under the impression that once you write a song and you have the lyrics in place, they're kind of unchangeable because your ear just gets used to something. But I realized you just have to try at it, and you can get it to shift and sound closer. Well, you can get it to sound close to what your ear is wanting to hear. But yeah, it was a long process of editing to get it to all work as one piece.
Well, you clearly have a knack for writing fiction. Could we ever anticipate a book or a movie or a true crime show from Andy Shauf?
A CSI episode, maybe.
I feel like it was just a guest writer, Andy Shauf, on this episode of Law and Order.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be here. Again, Norm is out now. We absolutely love it, and we appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.